Maverick 100.9, Aggie Lands Country Alternative. It's Corliss, joined by my new friend, Richie B. Richie, how are you?
Doing fantastic, Corliss. How are you today?
I am awesome. It's so good to talk to you, like specifically on Maverick, because really the only time I've ever had you was the Cook and Corliss Christmas Textravaganza. So
Yes.
we haven't caught up since the holidays, but that's okay because we were waiting on new music anyways, and it's finally here. Two Hearts, One Moon. Tell me, well, first off, congratulations on another release.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I am so excited for you. You know, you're really in the beginning of your career here in Texas country, and I'm so excited to see you excited about your future.
Yeah. It's been such a blast so far, even just with the first single coming out, and I've met so many great people. People have helped me and kind of guided me in the right direction. But for this next release was just something that I was super excited for. I actually kind of pushed some of my other stuff off to the side because I was like, man, it's going to be a fun one to do. It's going to be a fun one to release and be able to have people listen to at least a little what I can do as well, you know?
Absolutely, which I already love your sound. It's
Thank
very
you.
funky, very unique. So I hope you're still bringing that unique spin to Two Hearts, One Moon. Where exactly did this song come from?
So let me tell you about this. It's actually pretty cool how it ended up falling into place. So my buddy Vic Quinton um, co-written this song with Dale McBride, who is Terry McBride's dad, the late Dale
Yeah.
McBride. So, he had came up to me middle of last year and said, "Hey, Richie, I have a song that I kind of just put off to the side. Me and Dale had written it a while back, and he had the band record it. And I don't remember exactly what band because he said it was quite an old recording, but he had the production done on it already. And he had a few other friends record it and like to sing the song. And he just said, hey, well, you know what? I really don't know if I want to release it like this. So he kind of had it on the back burner for a while. And Vic ended up telling me, well, Richie, why don't you try singing it? And I said, well, yeah, I would love to try my own spin on it. So I just kind of did my own version of it. And, that's where it ended up. But it was super cool to be able to work with Vic and to hopefully be able to put out a song that may honor the legacy of Del McBride.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's exactly where my head was going, was what a great memorial to him, because he is someone that should be remembered. He was an incredible writer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm hoping that it'll people enjoy it as much as I do because it's a great song. It actually has a really good 90s country feel to it, which is a little different, but it kind of fits in with me being different too. I'm not trying to do the typical Texas country sound yet, but this was just something that had a different spin on the usual that I had, I guess, usually been pushing out. And I was fortunate enough to also get Drew Womack to do my harmonies. He also did on my last single as well, and a couple others. So working closely with Drew Womack as well. He's been great, and he nails those harmonies.
He is one of my all-time heroes. Like,
Oh yeah,
all time. So did you actually get to meet Drew?
it's always been in passing. I haven't had a chance to meet him because he's always out of town. And yeah, it was so funny with when he was supposed to be recording his harmonies. He was actually on tour, and then he went on a mini vacation. And then when he came back, he goes, "I'll get those in really quick." So that's what ended up happening. It ended up working out pretty fine, though. It was good.
Oh man, I would just kill to meet him. That would be so cool. Well, this song is already cool all the way around, and we haven't even heard it yet. What are you doing to me?
Well, that's part of it. It's been a blessing to be put in the situation that I have been to be able to work with them, and I'm just super blessed for that, and I'm grateful every day. Thank God every day, and it's been good. It's been cool, and I'm just happy to be a part of a cool project such as this.
Well, we're going to lay it on everyone right now for the very first time. Out today, Richie B and Two Hearts, One Moon. Due to copyright, Brian Broadcasting is not licensed to air this single for you in podcast form, but you can now find it anywhere that you stream and download music. And today's interview continues now. Two Hearts, One Moon. That is Richie B on Maverick 100.9. I've got Richie here. And of course, you and I were talking about, you didn't write this one, but the songwriters on it are extraordinary and incredible. But we had also discussed your unique sound. And I am so curious about that because you literally sound like if Bruno Mars was a country singer. And I don't know how you do that. So please tell me the secret because I've been dying to ask you this question since I met you.
Okay, so yeah, if you want to backtrack, I started singing when I was about 8 or 9, influenced from my grandfather and my uncle. Now, my grandfather was partially raising me while I was growing up because my mom and dad were always working, and I was always hanging out with my grandpa. So my first music that I was ever exposed to was 50s, 60s doo-wop, soul, Motown. So a lot of I don't know, it kind of explains itself now.
It really does. Well, and I'm thinking in my own head, because, when I'm not listening to Texas country, that's what I listen to. Yeah. That's my dad brought me up the exact same way. I didn't even know modern music existed or what it was. I just thought that's just the music you listen to.
That was what it was. I grew up with that. My uncle was the one that encouraged me to start singing because he goes, "Hey, you have a pretty good voice. Why don't you just try it?" I started learning oldies. So I was learning, like, of course, Richie Valens. I was learning Frankie Valli. I was learning Frankie Lyman. I listened to a lot of, it was mainly doo-wop. And I liked soul and Motown as well, but it was mainly doo-wop music. So all the quartets and quintets and, that was pretty much what kind of molded me with my, I guess a lot of my soul. People say I have a lot of soul when I sing. I'm like, okay, well, it does come in part with how, I was raised and what I listened to. But going into that, after that, I started listening to, thanks to my dad, he introduced me to a lot of rock and Southern rock. So, but I guess one of my other influences with my music types, what I end up writing funky stuff, is I listen to a lot of Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yes!
Yeah. So growing up with that, and then, as I started getting older and exploring music a little bit more, once I picked up the guitar on the age of 13, ended up listening to more punk rock. And punk rock is what kind of like, well, teenager, I'm just mad at everything, blah, blah, blah. Listening to that, listening to new metal. So I got into like heavy rock. It just kind of progressed as time went on. But I realized, I hadn't listened to country music since I used to hang out with my uncle, the one that encouraged me to sing. And I couldn't listen to it for a long time because my uncle passed away in 2007. And it was hard for me to listen to it because it always just reminded me of him. Well, straight out of high school, I was, kind of just exploring more music, and Midland ended up coming out with Drinking Problem and Burnout. And I'm like, hey, maybe country can actually still be pretty cool, And I wasn't too much of a fan of the newer 2010s country music.
Yeah.
But I do like the classics, and they kind of was reviving that classic sound. And the more I dove into what Texas country was, I realized that they kind of preserved the sound in a sort of way. So if it really wasn't for Midland, I probably wouldn't be doing my own version of country. It's my own version of Texas country. And I kind of use all those influences to play what I do. And I realized that punk rock wasn't actually too far from country music.
It's the same lyrics, just different tempos.
It's 3 chords in the truth.
Yeah.
It's just punk rock has a different agenda.
Yeah.
Let me say that. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I love that because, like, partially I feel like I'm talking to myself. Like I have tickets to see Metallica later this year. I
Oh yeah.
love Metallica. Frankie Valli literally makes me cry when I hear his voice because I love him so much. And so I love that you've put that into my favorite genre of music, which is literally what just bleeds through my veins is country. And like, so
Yeah.
we're so similar in that. And and there's nothing wrong with a new sound in country, without people like you, or like you said, Midland. If they wouldn't have said, hey, we're going to take this back to our roots, but we're going to put our own spin on it.
Yep.
You wouldn't have been inspired. And like, it's this crazy tornado effect of music.
Yes. And that's exactly what it is. I'm just kind of putting my own spin, what I know, how I know how to sing, how I know how to write my lyrics down. Because when it comes down to it, I was a poet before actually songwriting. So I've always loved English writing, British literature. Being able to put that, whatever I think down into words is, I can be artistic with it. But when it comes to songwriting, it's a different craft. You have to start learning how to fit a mold and how to make it work without saying too much. You have to say the right things. And learning that had been a challenge, and day by day I get better at it. But it's cool being able to put my words down that mean to me into something that I can express myself. Obviously, just my own songs, but putting my own version. And I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but that's just the thing. I love being able to have my roots show through my music.
Yeah. Well, it clearly does. And it's my type of sound, my friend, my type of sound. And
Thank you.
You've even got more coming.
I do. I have some more stuff. So, when it comes down to the, I guess, influences that were present in my younger life, there's going to be a couple more songs coming out within the next year or year and a half before the full album ends up coming out. I still have some production things that I need to do with the rest of my album, so I do have a few handful of songs that are ready to go. Just kind of throwing them out there little by little, and some of them have a ballad sound, some of them have I think there was even another one that sounds like it should have been on Urban Cowboy. So it's a good dancing song. Yeah. And there's another one that was, I guess to kind of just throw it out there, there's a ballad sounding song that I had written. It was actually the first song that I had written coming out of the punk rock stuff into the country. And it was supposed to be a funky kind of little dance song. And when I ended up in the studio back in 2020, same year that I recorded the first single that I released, Booze, this other song, I was fortunate enough to get Leroy Parnell to play on. Wow. So, yeah. So having that as a ballad, it completely changed the ambiance of the song. But, I mean, it was just topped off with Leroy's playing because he's fantastic. And I was just fortunate enough to be able to have that too. So, we can always bring that up another time whenever that comes. But just to say that, like that, it's been great stuff so far. And I've been super satisfied, and I've been so grateful with the people that I've been working with. But yeah, that's what's to look forward to within the next year and a half.
That's why we always say follow, follow, follow. His name is Richie B. And of course, 2 Hearts, 1 Moon available now. Go get that. And I think we're going to be hearing from Richie a whole lot more in the future. And I'm so excited for it. So thank you for coming to debut the new single here on Maverick, Richie.
Thank you, Corliss. I appreciate your time, and thank you for giving me a shot. And I hope everybody enjoys the song. It's going to be a cool little dancing song, and hopefully I could get some people falling in love. We'll see what happens.